Hi, and welcome to Mudgecraft. In this series of videos, I'm going to show you how to use code to build in Minecraft. The last video was a brief introduction to Python, Minecraft coordinates, and placing blocks in code. This video will cover placing blocks in a little more detail. Let's start with the code that was used to create a basic house at the end of the last video. This can be found at the link in the description below. The code starts with the lines to load our Minecraft MCPI code, which allows us to connect. This is followed by the line that creates the connection to our Minecraft server. The rest of the code uses the setBlock or setBlocks functions to create the house. The first thing you might notice is that it doesn't use numbers for the coordinates it passes to these functions. Instead, it uses a variable called startPosition. We've set the variable to the value of a vec3 object which holds the x, y, and z values of our coordinates. But what is an object? An object is a way of grouping together data which we can put in a single variable. An example could be a car which has a color, a fuel level, and a distance traveled. We could store these in separate variables, but our code would get a bit messy if we have lots of cars each with their own values. Messy code is hard to read and hard to understand. So we tidy these values into an object. Objects can also have methods, which are like functions, but work with the values inside the object. We can create new objects and set the values we want them to have. We can then get these values back by using the name of the variable that holds the object, followed by dot, and then the name of the value. This name is sometimes called an attribute of the object. Back in our house code, we see the x, y, and z attributes being used in the setBlock and setBlocks functions. Let's look at what the code does. The first thing we need is a big cube of blocks that will form the walls and ceiling. For this we use a call to the setBlocks function and give it the start position and an end position. We work out this end position coordinate by adding the house width, height, and depth to our start position coordinate. Let's see what that looks like in Minecraft. We now have a big cube of blocks that has the same width, height, and depth as our house. But if we mine into this big cube, we can see that it's solid. We need to hollow it out. We can do this by creating a cube of air blocks inside of it. To make sure we don't replace our wall blocks with air, we need to make it start at a coordinate which is one more in every direction than our start position. We also need to make it end in one less in every direction than our end position. Now when we mine into our cube we can see that it's hollow. How do we get in? We need a hole for the door. We want to place our door halfway along the wall. To move along the wall we only need to increase the x value. And we can work out how far by dividing the width by 2. This creates a one-block hole in our wall which isn't going to be big enough. So we now need to add 1 to the y value to place the block above it. There, we have an entrance. The rest of the code uses these techniques to place the remaining blocks. For some blocks we need to add an extra value after the block ID to give more information. For example, sometimes we need to say what color of block we want to place. We can do this by giving the setBlock function another value after the block ID. This is called the data value. When we look at the list of available blocks, we can see that some have a second number. This is the data value and is used to create a variation of that block type. Sometimes this changes the color of the block, like with wool and concrete. And sometimes this changes the position of a block, like with torches and doors. You can see this data value used in a few places in the sample code. Sometimes you might see a block in Minecraft and want to find out its type and data value. You can do this by using the MCPI function called getBlockWithData, and pass it the coordinates of the block you are interested in. The print function allows you to send this information out to the terminal when we run our code. One advantage to using the Vec3 object and variables for our height, width, and length is that we can now repeat our basic house again and again. We can also change the values to make a slightly different version of the house. And we can change the block type to make it out of whatever we want. Maybe not these last few. These videos focus on using Python to code in Minecraft. This means it only shows enough to get things to work for the examples. But there is a lot more that can be learnt about using Python. There are many free websites that can help, including the official documentation at docs.python.org. This can be a little technical for anyone new to programming. So if you're just learning, I would recommend W3 School's Python website at w3schools.com/python. This site is free, has no sign-up, and provides simple explanations and examples. Thank you for watching, and please consider subscribing.